All right. We got Mayor DC Reeves on January 1st. The cameras were activated. No one's getting a ticket, but y'all are starting to build data on how many people are running traffic lights at these locations. And there's been some angst about the company that's being used. Was the study done properly? Anytime there's change. What are you seeing? I mean, we're 7 days into it. What are you seeing?
Well, the first thing we're seeing, and we're waiting to release the exact numbers when we confirm it on paper, is not only a lot of people running red lights at just the 9 approaches that are up right now, but a number that will surprise anybody that hears it. It's in the hundreds, multiple hundreds. And that's in a matter of, I believe, 5 days or 6 days. So before we come out with all of the exact, we want to make sure we have that information. And so next week, of course, we'll lay that out and understand of every approach, how often is someone running a red light. We're in a grace period right now. And to help us understand, make sure everything's working okay, and certainly to try to make people as aware as possible. Our goal is not, it's kind of ironic. There's a lot of conversation about this being a revenue stream or a revenue generator for the city, and that being the inspiration. If it was about that, we would just write tickets that are $264 that would come from a human police officer. So that would actually be, if it was about money, it would be that. We see a significantly smaller portion of the $158 fine that you would get from a red light camera. But what it's about is, I don't want to make any money on red light cameras. What I want is people to stop running red lights. And what we know from the first 6 days, and what you'll learn more in terms of the exact numbers next week, is that's not happening. And we hear a lot of the critique, Rick, that you hear. Well, does it create more, crashes, rear end crashes at yellow lights? Well, now they're going to police right turn on red, which we are. What if the camera gets it wrong? Well, there's video and photo, and a human police officer sees it. It's why we put out that FAQ on the police website. It's still there now to myth bust. But I bring all that up not to myth bust each one of those, but I think what gets lost in that conversation about the change that causes anxiety is, you have to understand where we're coming from. Where we're coming from is nowhere. And I think that gets forgotten, because when it's criticized or critiqued that we are now policing illegal red light running in this fashion, the quiet presumption is that this is an alternative to some other level of enforcement. Well, it's not. Ninth and Bayou is unenforceable. However many cars we want to put out there, it is not enforceable based on the architecture of the intersection. So we've got to understand that what we're comparing it to is doing nothing, which is what we've been doing before. And there is no feasible putting officers at every one of these 24 hours a day. There is no feasible solution like that. So I totally understand. We've been willing to take on change that causes anxiety, obviously, in this administration, but we do feel with conviction that what we have to do is stop doing nothing. And because this is about public safety. And if we're wrong about an intersection after a year or 6 months, it is my duty to change it or to decrease it. That is what you should expect. And critics of that might be real excited about that and say, oh, see, Mayor, I told you. That's okay. That's totally fine. But we've got to, doing nothing is not a solution. And so we've got to do something.
Okay. Well, Mayor, thank you for coming on this afternoon. I look forward to seeing the numbers next week.
Me too. All right.
About that.